Right. Good morning, everyone. We are going to study the various forms of power sharing that we were continuing with the chapter on civics. Okay. So now we will study what are the forms of power sharing. Okay. Forms of power sharing among different organs of the government. Okay. So what we mean here is that there are different organs of the government. One is the legislature. Okay. The other one is the executive, and the third one is the judiciary. We have already studied this in previous classes. Okay, what we mean here is, see, legislature is the one which actually frames laws, okay, which is basically concerned with the election, basically the government, central government and various forms of government. Okay, the elected part, they frame laws and policies. They also pass bills in the parliament for amendment of the constitution if required. Okay, various types of bills for the development of the country, for the reinforcing the resources of the country. Any type of bill and law is basically passed on by the legislature. This is executed by a body. So the bureaucracy basically, okay, if we say the IAS officers, the district magistrate, the district collector and all, they will ensure that any law that is passed and has to be implemented smoothly. So this is known as the executive body of the government. Okay, so basically the people who are in the various government departments heading them function in order to ensure that the laws and bills that are passed in the legislature are implemented successfully. Okay, there is something called as judiciary. Judiciary means the entire justice system. Okay, so it means the courts, the lawyers, the judges. Okay, if at all the constitutional validity of any law needs to be challenged, it can be challenged on the court by anyone. Okay, if at all some amendments need to be made in the constitution, that can also be done. If at all a law is particularly hampering the process of smooth functioning of the government or the country, or people are opposed to it, that also can be challenged. So these are three things, or rather the three wings of the government: the legislature, the executive and the judiciary. And India's system is based on this. Okay. Okay, now we will talk about horizontal distribution of power. So system of checks and balances, which means there is a system of checks and balances. What it means here is that any kind of system needs to be checked and balanced properly. Needs to be checked and balanced properly means what? All types of checks should be in. See, any form of government, whether it is elected or whether it is something that is like China, communist. Okay. So any form of government, there has to be a check on it. Okay, it just cannot come out of the blue and implement any law and from tomorrow onwards this law will be applicable. Okay, so it's without even catering to the needs and requirements of people, they cannot do this. Okay, so what I mean to say here is that any form of government has a possibility of changing from a democratic to a dictatorship form of government, and that's not something that is ideal. Okay, so in order to check the functioning of the government, there are certain checks and balances which are developed. So certain checks and balances which are developed are basically to check the form of government. So system of checks and balances are developed. Okay, this ensures that the government functions smoothly. Okay, clear? Is this absolutely clear? See, a system of checks and balances is developed so that the government functions smoothly. So basically what means is that if any law has come up and most of the people are not benefiting from it, in fact are at a loss because of it, it can be challenged. Okay, so it's a proper system of checks and balances. By ensuring that these three are equally sharing the power in the democratic system of a government, it ensures that the government is under well controlled system of checks and balances. See, this means that the judiciary can question the government if anybody is actually reporting against the government. The government has to reply here. Okay, the government has to reply in the parliament for all the laws. There is an opposition that has to question the government for all the things that it is implementing, for developments which are not taking place or which should take place. Okay, so the executive basically runs and implements those laws. Okay, so system of checks and balances is developed, and this is very ideal scenario because in that case the rights of the minorities will not be challenged. Okay, so if any form or law is actually implemented by the government, there is a proper system of checks and balances which will ensure that the government is not going out of its way in actually maybe violating the rights of the minorities. Okay, so there is a proper system of checks and balances which ensures this. Okay, now what we have is power sharing among different levels of government. This is called vertical distribution of power. Maybe it is not a little visible. I will just make some arrangements so it is visible. Okay, so this is called vertical distribution of power. Power sharing among different levels of government. This is called vertical distribution of power. So what is vertical distribution of power? See, at the center there is a central government, there is a state government, there is a local government as well. So it is not possible for the government at the central level, let's say this whatever government is heading the state, okay, or rather the entire country, it is not possible for that government to look into the problems of the villages or maybe small districts or maybe small towns. Okay, it is managing the entire show of the country. So it is not possible, or it is willfully or unfortunately they will have to ignore the rights of the or the demands of the very small populated cities and towns and villages. So it ensures that the proper governance happens. So there is a government at the central level which runs the show for the entire country. There is a government at the state level, and there is a government at the local this is called local government at village levels or taluka levels. Okay, so this is basically power sharing. Again, there is power sharing. So whatever center has decided, obviously they will always follow the guidelines, but there is an independent local government as well which takes care of the problems of the local people at the village level or the taluka level. Okay, so this is called the federal division of power, right? We will move on to the other points out here. Okay, so here we have power sharing among different social groups. Okay, now at times what happens is there are social groups which are there, and we need to ensure that their rights are not challenged. So power sharing among different social groups. So we have sharing power between various religious and linguistic groups. So this is basically power sharing between various religious and linguistic groups. So what happens is that we should ensure that the religious sentiments of people are not violated, okay, while framing laws, while executing them, or while implementing them. So we have power sharing among different social groups. So different social groups are acknowledged, okay, the languages are acknowledged. See, in our constitution all types of languages are acknowledged, all types of castes and communities of people are acknowledged. Okay, so the reason why there is an acknowledgement required for all these is so that their rights and challenges are not violated. If you notice that in government jobs there are reservations for people. Okay, the reason why they of course this is debatable, but the reason why there is reservation for people is because it has been identified that from very old times there is a particular community or sect of people which has been their rights have been violated. They were not able to grow and mix with the entire social structure because they were kind of alienated from the entire system. Okay, so in order to ensure that no further atrocities happen on this kind of people, okay, there is power sharing among different social groups. So different social groups are identified, different communities are identified, different language speaking people are identified, and they are acknowledged as well so that their rights are not challenged. Okay, while framing laws and policies, the government has to bear in mind all these communities and social groups which are there. So their rights should not be challenged. Okay, then we have sharing power between various religions. Okay, reserved constituencies in state assemblies and parliament of our country. So there are reserved constituencies which are there in the state assemblies and power of our country. Okay, parliament of our country. Basically, there are reserved constituencies means that these constituencies will be handled by people who belong to that particular group or constituency. Mostly all elections are contested in such a way that local people are always given a preference. It's not that somebody, so for example, look at this. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he belongs to Gujarat, but he contested elections from Varanasi because he is known to everyone. Alright, everybody knows him. Everybody across India knows him. Okay, but is it possible for let's say the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, that is Uddhav Thackeray, to contest elections from West Bengal? Because people in West Bengal might not know him or they might not have interacted with him. Okay, so it is not possible. So in that case, it is always advisable, and it is always, it's not that nobody can contest, an Indian can contest election from anywhere in India, but ideally the constituencies are designed in such a way that they get their leaders from the same constituency, okay, so that leaders have an advantage in understanding the problems of the people and giving a quick fix as well, okay. So these are certain things which are very important, okay. So we have vertical distribution of power and we have horizontal distribution of power. What we mean by horizontal distribution of power is this: horizontal distribution of power means legislature, executive and judiciary. This is the horizontal distribution of power, okay. Horizontal distribution, why? Because all are equally capable of making changes in the lives of their countrymen, all right. So they are more or less all equally powerful as far as Constitution of India is concerned. And then we have a vertical distribution of power, so that whatever is implemented as per guidelines of the central policy, that is implemented at the state level and that is implemented at the village level as well. So we have a vertical distribution of power and we have a horizontal distribution of power, and this is how power is shared. Basically nobody is I would say omnipotent out here, okay. Nobody is superficial out here. Everybody is sharing the power. Government at the central level is having a power of its own, government at a state level is having a power of its own, and government at a local village level has a power of its own. So all these have definite powers so as to ensure the welfare of the entire community at both macroscopic and microscopic level. Macroscopic level means the entire region or maybe the entire country, and microscopic level means the village level or the taluka levels or the small district levels, okay. So development has to happen in all spheres, and for that effective power sharing is a very important thing. We will learn what is the advantages of horizontal power sharing as well, okay. So I hope you have made a note of this. You can take a snapshot of the same. Okay. All right. In the next slide, I will upload what is the advantages of horizontal mode of power sharing. Okay.